GLP-1 drugs have completely changed the game for weight loss, right? But what if I told you there's another story, one that's happening inside your body right now? Today, we're going to dig into the science of your natural GLP-1 system and figure out how we can actually use it to our advantage.
So that leads us to the big question, the reason we're all here. Can you really use fiber and protein to replace an injection? I mean, can a specific diet get your body to make enough of its own GLP-1 to make a real difference? Can it compete with the big pharma stuff? Well, to figure that out, we've got to follow the science.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll set the scene with the big GLP-1 question. Then we'll dive into your body's own incretin system. After that, we'll look at the foods that trigger it, compare nature versus pharmacology, and wrap it all up with a practical protocol you can actually use. Okay, let's get into it. The whole world of metabolic health is, well, it's been turned upside down lately. You've got these incredibly powerful GLP-1 drugs on one side, and on the other, you have this new 2026 inverted food pyramid. It's totally flipping the script on what we thought we knew, putting things like protein and fiber way above those refined carbs. And honestly, this has kicked off a really important conversation. So, first things first, what even is GLP-1? The full name is glucagon-like peptide 1. It's what's called an incretin hormone. Now, don't let the fancy name throw you off. It just means it's a hormone made in your gut after you eat. And it does two really important things. It tells your pancreas to manage insulin and blood sugar, and, crucially, it sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, you're full, which, as you can imagine, is a huge deal for controlling appetite. So the cool thing is, your body already knows how to do this. This isn't some new discovery. It's a fundamental part of how we're wired. Let's take a look at the incredible system that's been working inside us all along.
It's actually a pretty straightforward process. Picture this. You eat a meal, and the food starts its journey through your gut. Down in your intestine and colon, you've got these special sensor cells called L cells. Think of them like little gatekeepers. When nutrients from your food, protein, fats, carbs, show up, these L cells wake up and release GLP-1 into your blood. And from there, it's off to the races. It zips over to your pancreas and your brain to do its job, managing blood sugar and making you feel full.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch with our natural system. The GLP-1 your body makes, it only sticks around for about 1 to 2 minutes. It gets broken down super fast by an enzyme. This really short lifespan, well, that's the exact problem the pharmaceutical drugs were engineered to solve.
So if our own signal is so fleeting, is there anything we can do about it? Can we boost it? And the answer is absolutely yes. And this is where food becomes incredibly important. We're talking about specific kinds of fiber and protein that can basically act like triggers for this whole system. Okay, let's talk fiber. And here's the thing. Not all fiber is the same when it comes to GLP-1. The real magic is in what we call fermentable fibers. Basically, these are the types of fiber that the bacteria in your gut can eat. And when your gut bugs feast on these fibers, they produce something amazing called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs for short. These little compounds are what go and knock on the door of those L cells and tell them to release more GLP-1. So when you're eating things like oats, beans, lentils, even cooled potatoes, you're not just feeding yourself, you're feeding your microbiome so it can help you feel full. And this brings up a really key point that the science keeps showing us. You know all those fiber powders and supplements? Well, whole foods almost always work better. Why? Think about an apple. The fiber isn't just floating around in there, it's part of this whole package with water, nutrients, and cell walls. This natural structure actually slows everything down, giving your gut bacteria more time to do their job properly. The result is a steadier, more effective GLP-1 release. It's why that new food pyramid is all about real food. All right, our second big trigger is protein, and protein plays the game a little differently. If fiber is the indirect route, working through your gut bacteria, protein is the direct express lane. When you eat protein, it breaks down into amino acids. These amino acids travel right to those L cells and basically tell them, hey, release GLP-1 now. This direct action is a huge reason why protein makes you feel so full. And different proteins work at different speeds. Something like whey protein gets to work really fast, giving you a quick, strong GLP-1 spike. Okay, so we've established that food can definitely get our natural system going. But let's be real. How does this natural pulse of hormones compare the powerhouse effect of a weekly injection? It's time for a head-to-head comparison. Really, it all comes down to two things: how much and for how long. The response from food is like a series of short natural pulses. It's a physiological response. The drugs, on the other hand, are like opening the floodgates. It's a sustained, high-level pharmacological flood. Your own GLP-1 is gone in minutes. The synthetic stuff, it's designed to stick around for days. Think of it like this.
Food creates a symphony of signals, while the drug plays one very loud note constantly. And then there's the obvious stuff. The food approach doesn't come with a list of side effects, and it costs whatever you spend on groceries, which is a world away from the price tag and potential nausea of the meds.
But does this stuff actually work in the real world? Does it move the needle? You bet it does. Take a look at this study. They put one group on a high-protein, high-fiber diet and another on a lower-protein, lower-fiber diet for 12 weeks. The results were pretty striking. The high-protein, high-fiber group saw big drops in fasting insulin and that bad LDL cholesterol. Plus, they got a big boost in adiponectin, which is a great hormone for helping burn fat. So yeah, this isn't just a cool idea on paper. Eating this way has real, measurable benefits for your metabolism.
Okay, that's the science. Now for the fun part. How do we actually do this? We can use that 2026 inverted food pyramid as our guide to build a practical plan, a protocol really, to get the most out of our body's own GLP-1 system.
One of the smartest strategies out there is something called an incretin preload. It's simple. About 20 or 30 minutes before your main meal, you have a small, strategic snack. This gets the whole system warmed up. You include some fast-acting protein, like whey or Greek yogurt, to get that first immediate hit of GLP-1. You add some soluble fiber, which will make its way down your gut to kick in a bit later. A little healthy fat slows the whole process down for more lasting effect. What does that look like? It could be as simple as some Greek yogurt with a little fiber mixed in and a few nuts. You're basically getting your fullness hormones online before you've even started your actual meal. It's a total game changer.
Now, beyond that preload trick, your total protein for the day is absolutely crucial. The 2026 guidelines are pointing towards a target of 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And there's a really good reason for that specific number. When you're losing weight, and this is especially true if you're on a GLP-1 drug that crushes your appetite, it's really easy to lose muscle along with the fat. Hitting that protein target is pretty much the #1 defense you have to make sure you're protecting that precious metabolism-boosting muscle.
So let's go back to where we started. Can fiber and protein actually replace the injection? And the honest, scientific answer is no. They can't match the sheer power of a drug. But you know what? That's not really the right way to look at it. This isn't a food versus drugs battle. The real takeaway here is that a diet high in protein and fiber is the foundation. It's the biological groundwork you need for long-term health, whether you're on medication or not. It's the non-negotiable part of the equation for protecting muscle and building a strategy that actually lasts.
And that really leaves us with one final idea to chew on. Maybe the future of all of this isn't about choosing between food and pharma. Maybe it's about learning how to master both, using food to build the strongest, most resilient biological system we can, and using medication as a powerful tool when it's appropriate. The real question then becomes, are we ready to get smart about integrating the two?